Welcome to our first session. This is Sir Jess, your science teacher for this school year. So good morning, students. Today, we shall explore in your first module for Quarter 1, Week 1, and our topic is plate tectonics, specifically exploring the two types of crust. For our most essential learning competency, you are to describe and relate the distribution of active volcanoes, earthquake epicenter, and major mountain belts of the plate tectonic theory. Specifically, our learning objectives for this module is for you to identify the landforms as continental and oceanic crust, and second, to give the characteristics of continental crust and oceanic crust. But before we proceed on the topic itself, for our introductory concept, you should familiarize yourself with these specific concepts. The Earth's lithosphere consists of layers. They are the crust and the upper mantle. The Earth's crust is divided into two. We have the oceanic crust and continental crust. Landforms, including active volcanoes and mountain ranges, are some of the geographic features that are present in the plate boundaries. These geographic features cause several geographic events and processes that slowly shape the Earth's surface. The Philippines is blessed with different geographic features, such as mountains and volcanoes, that support livelihood, agricultural interest, and contribute to aesthetic value of the place. These things are discussed actually in your grade 9 science. The presence of these different landforms provided people with opportunities in tourism and sources of living for the people. In this lesson, you will learn the connection between these forms and some of the processes that occur at plate boundaries, as well as the features of the Earth that continuously change with time. Now, for this week, this is your weekly home learning plan. So as you can see, as mentioned, we have there the learning competency for this week. Take note of the learning tasks you need to accomplish for this week, for this Quarter 1, Module 1. First, you need to read the entire module, specifically the first few pages containing the learning contents. Second, you are to answer the try this part of the first module, and that is for you to list down the different landforms as indicated in the do it part. And then, do activity 1 entitled Name It. Fourth, you need to research or read about the two types of crust for further learning. Fifth, answer the activity 2 entitled Picture Recognition by telling whether the picture represents continental crust or oceanic crust. Sixth, accomplish the table in the module wherein you are asked to give more examples. Seventh, read and understand keep this in mind part. 8. Answer, apply what you have learned by supplying the necessary information in the table provided. Number 9. Create an advertisement featuring your own locality. Next, start doing the activity entitled Tell Me, wherein you will study a figure and answer 6 guide questions. After that, you need to study the clip slide provided next to the said activity. And lastly, you are to answer the explore part, differentiating oceanic crust from continental crust. As for your first activity, you need to answer this pre-test or a diagnostic test entitled Try This. From the given statement below, which describes the Earth crust, you need to write only the letter of your answers. Okay, so we have several statements below, and then from those statements, you are to choose descriptions that basically describe the Earth's crust. So you can have few answers in this activity. So we have options from letter A down to letter K. So which of the statement describes the Earth's crust? Okay, so here are the answers for that activity. So if you chose these 5 letters, you are correct, because Earth's crust is the outer layer of the Earth's surface containing mostly rocks. Aside from that, it is composed of several materials such as grass, dirt, granite, and basalt. It is made up of gravel and huge granitic rocks as well. It is made up of solid. And then lastly, the Earth's crust is broken into pieces called plates. So I hope you got it right. Don't worry if your answers are wrong, because it's just a pretest. Let me now proceed to the structure of the Earth and the plate tectonics. Allow me to borrow the materials from University of Bristol. So the structure of the Earth is made up of 4 main layers. As you can see in the picture, it's made up of crust, mantle, outer core, and inner core. The interior of the Earth is divided into layers based on chemical and physical properties. The Earth has an outer silica-rich, solid crust. It's aside from that, a highly viscous mantle, and a core comprising a liquid outer core that is much less viscous than mantle, and a solid inner core. So again, the Earth is made up of 4 main layers: crust, mantle, outer core, and inner core. First, we have the crust. So the crust is where we live. The Earth's crust is made up of the continental crust. And how do we describe this continental crust? Continental crust is thick. It ranges from 10 to 70 kilometers. It is buoyant. And when we speak of buoyant, this is less dense than oceanic crust. So comparing the density of the two, the continental crust is less dense compared to oceanic crust. And aside from that, it is mostly old. So the continental crust forms the land, the continent, as the name suggests. That's the thing we see today, right? Aside from that, we have what we call the oceanic crust. So it's thin, okay? So approximately it has a thickness up to 7 kilometers. It is dense, okay? So it sinks under the continental crust. So comparing the density of the two, this is denser compared to the oceanic crust. And aside from that, in terms of its age, it is relatively younger compared to the continental crust. Okay? Now, what is plate tectonics? So basically, the first quarter of Science 10 talks about plate tectonics. Have you heard of this? Okay. Can you explain this concept? Now, if you look at the map of the world, you may notice that some of the continents could fit together like pieces of puzzle. Okay? So, for example, the shape of the Africa and South America are good examples of this. Because as you can see in the map below, or the map you can see in the video, they somewhat fit together. There are 12 major plates on Earth, each of which lie around at a rate of centimeters per year. pulling away from, scraping against, or crushing into each other. So as I have said, this is divided into 12 major plates, which are moved in various directions. This plate motion causes them to collide, pull apart, or scrape against each other. Each type of interaction causes a characteristic set of earth structures, or what we call the tectonic features. The word tectonic refers to the deformation of crust as a consequence of plate interaction. So when we speak of plate tectonics, one thing is for sure, that those plates we are referring are actually moving at a very slow rate. So that's the concept of plate tectonics. So this diagram shows the major tectonic plates. Okay, so we have major plates like African plate, South American plate, Australian plate, and many other. Okay, but aside from that, we have also minor plates, okay, or relatively smaller plates. So what are tectonic plates made of? So plates are made of a rigid lithosphere, okay? So we know that lithosphere is a part, or the sphere of the earth composed of rocks, okay? So if we can see in this diagram, so we start from the crust, which is the outermost layer, followed by, as we go down deeper, we have now the upper mantle, followed by the lower mantle, the outer core, and the inner core. Of course, they differ from each other according to their density. Okay. So plates are made of a rigid lithosphere, as I have mentioned. The lithosphere is made up of the crust and the upper mantle. So these two, the crust and the upper mantle, make the lithosphere. Okay? So sila yung bumubuo sa tinatawag natin na lithosphere. Below the lithosphere, which makes up the tectonic plate, is the asthenosphere. So we need to say, in between of the upper mantle and the mantle, or the lower mantle, we can see, we can locate there the so-called asthenosphere. Okay, asthenosphere is a part of the upper mantle. It is so hot that it is 1 to 5% liquid. This liquid usually at the junction of the crystals, allowing it to flow, which is why astheno means weak. Okay, beneath the asthenosphere is the rest of the mantle, which is completely solid but can also flow because of the intense temperature and pressure. Okay, so that's the answer with that question, what lies beneath the tectonic plates? How and why do tectonic plates move around? The question of how tectonic plates are moved around the globe is answered by understanding the mantle convection cells. We will be discussing this as we proceed in our module. But I want you to accept from this point that plates of the lithosphere are moving, okay? And they are moving around by the underlying hot convection cells in the asthenosphere. So basically, yung plates gumagalaw because meron tayong tinatawag na convection current. Okay? This is being facilitated by a specific layer or special layer known as asthenosphere. Okay? But this is not being limited only to this specific or special layer, because all of this part of the earth helps it to facilitate that kind of movement. In your module for the first week, you're also asked to accomplish this activity entitled Do It. So in that activity, you need to look around. Imagine places in your locality and list different landforms found or that can be seen in your place and which you think are part of continental crust. So in this activity titled Do It, kailangan lang po magbigay kayo ng mga landforms na makikita sa paligid mo, specific landforms na sa tingin nyo ay part ng continental crust. Okay? So you just need to list down. After that activity, you need to do and accomplish the activity found in the explore part. The first activity is entitled Name It. So first, you need to study the figure. Okay? So may makikita kayong figure entitled the Earth's Crust. After studying the figure, you have to accomplish this brief activity. You need to name the two types of crust as shown in the picture. So there are two possible answers for that activity. Get it? So let's now proceed to the next activity. Activity number 2 in the explore part is entitled Picture Recognition. So you have a number of pictures in this activity. Look at the given examples of land features or forms and tell whether it forms part of the continental crust or oceanic crust. And write your answer on the blank. So, meron tayong 5 pictures. Okay? Mount Apo in Davao del Sur, Mount Bulusan in Sorsogon, Rizal Beach in Gubat, Sorsogon, to name a few. So, opposite to that picture, you need to write either continental crust or oceanic crust. Okay? No need to explain. Just tell or identify whether it forms or it is part of the continental crust or oceanic crust. Aside from that, we have Panikwasan Hot Spring Resort in Naga City, and then we have Mount Asog in Iriga City. Okay, again, there are two options, continental crust or oceanic crust. Now, considering the two different divisions of Earth's crust, name the different land features which can be part of continental crust and oceanic crust, and you need to fill in the box with the appropriate answer. So, in this first box, you need to list down the different landforms that can fall basically under continental crust. An example is provided, and that is chocolate hills. So you need to list down 5 other different landforms or land features. In the next box, you are to write land or features or forms under the category for oceanic crust. An example is provided, and that is Atlantic Ocean. Same with the first box, you are to write 5 specific features or forms. Now, after accomplishing those activities, I want you to go over with this, keep this in mind part. So as discussed here, the Earth's lithosphere consists of layers, the crust, and the upper part of the mantle. We basically mentioned that in the previous slide. The crust is made of a variety of solid rocks. It has an average density of 2.8 gram per cubic centimeter, and its thickness ranges from 5 to 50 kilometers. The crust is thickest in the part where a relatively young mountain is present, and thinnest along the ocean floor. Now, there are 2 kinds of crust. We basically mentioned this as well. The thicker but less dense continental crust, and the oceanic crust, which is relatively thinner but denser than continental crust. I hope you can remember, or you will remember, this concept, comparing the 2 types of crust. At this point, we want you to watch this video. What makes the oceanic crust different than the continental crust? So that's it. So credits to the video from the Go Animate for Schools. So there, they differentiated between continental crust and oceanic crust according to their specific compositions. So let's now proceed to the next part of the activity after you learn that continental crust and oceanic crust differ based on their composition. So for the specific activity entitled Apply What You Have Learned, there are two parts basically. For the part A, you need to study the given picture below and tell what landform or feature of the Earth's crust is shown, and tell what human activity and natural activity can be possible on the given picture. So for the first picture, you can see there an open field located in Bulacan, Philippines. So obviously, yung makikita natin dito is a grassland. Okay? So yun yung ilalagay nyo sa second column. Because sa first column, makikita yung picture. Sa second column, ilalagay nyo yung landform or yung features na nandoon sa picture na yun. So as I have said, in this case, we have grassland. For the third column, you need to write the type of Earth's crust. Okay? So obviously, itong grassland na to will fall under the category for continental crust. Okay po. So yun yung lalagay. We have two options for our third column po. Either dalawa lang yan, continental or oceanic crust. And for the last column, inalagay natin yung mga activity na possible na ginagawa dito sa specific landform or features na to. Okay? Obviously, ano ba yung ginagawa natin sa grassland? Okay? Ano ba yung pakinabang ng grassland? First, that's farming, diba? Farming. Second, animal raising. And for residential purposes. So again, sa fourth column or sa last column, ilalagay natin yung mga possible activity na ginagawa or pwedeng gawin sa form or sa features na makikita natin sa picture. Okay? So, for the rest of the pictures, kayo po yung gagawa nito. Again, kailangan matukoy yung pinaka-specific landform or feature. And then, aside from that, kailangan natin i-categorize ito kung either continental to or oceanic. And then, sa last column, ibibigay nyo yung mga activities na maaring nangyayari or mangyayari dito sa mga features or landforms. Okay? And now, for the next part of that activity, you are to create now a short ad or advertisement to feature a known landform in your locality. So, kailangan nyo mag-point out ng isang feature na gusto nyong gawa ng short advertisement. Okay? Since we are in modular distance learning, I will not expect a video or PowerPoint presentation. So, ang gagawin nyo dito, kailangan nyo lang gumawa ng tinatawag natin na poster advertisement. Okay? So, mean to say, magdodrawing kayo ng landform na makikita sa locality nyo, and then after that, after drawing that landform, kailangan yung gawa ng advertisement. When we speak of advertisement, that's something na kailangan yung i-advertise or encourage yung mga tao na pumunta dito sa specific landform na to na nakikita sa locality. Okay, for example, Mount Isarog. Paano mo ba i-advertise yung Mount Isarog? Okay? So, syempre, kailangan mong i-list down yung mga possible activities na pwedeng gawin ng mga turista or mga tao dito sa Isarog nito na may pagmamalaki ng mga Nagenyo. Okay? So, you can be creative in doing this advertisement po, since this will be part of your performance, guys. I hope you get it. Now, for the next part of the module, you need to answer and study the figure below. Okay? So, napakita na to sa last part. So, babalikan natin yung diagram, and after studying the diagram, you need to answer this specific guide questions. Number 1. Which crust is thicker? Alin sa dalawa? Continental ba or oceanic? Pangalawa, which crust is thinner? Continental ba or oceanic? Third, what are found at the oceanic crust? Ano ba yung makikita natin sa oceanic crust? Anong characteristic ng mga rocks, for example? Number 4, what are found at the continental crust? Ano yung mga characteristic ng mga rocks na makikita natin sa continental crust? As mentioned in the video a while ago. Fifth, give descriptions of oceanic crust as shown in the figure. So, base sa picture na to, ano yung mga descriptions na pwede mong mailagay under oceanic crust? And last question, you are to give descriptions of the continental crust as shown in the picture. After that activity, gagawin na po natin itong table na to under the explore part as well. So, kailangan na natin i-compare, or nyo, how will you compare oceanic crust and continental crust according to its thickness? Alin sa dalawa yung mas makapal? Compare them according to the age of rock. Alin yung mas bata or yung mas matanda? Third, ano yung mga type of rocks na makikita sa oceanic crust? Ano naman sa continental crust? And lastly, how do they differ in terms of density? Which is less dense? Which is denser? So you are to write descriptions po, okay, in filling this specific table. And then after that, I want you to read, okay, more on this specific topic. Okay, paano sila nagkakaiba? So dito makikita natin yung descriptions sa continental crust. Okay, that the continental crust is mainly made up of silicon, oxygen, aluminum, calcium, sodium, and potassium. The thickness of the continental crust is mostly 35 to 40 kilometers, and the continental crust found under land masses is made up of less dense rocks called granite. For oceanic crust, it is around 7 to 10 kilometers in terms of thickness, with an average thickness of 8 kilometers. It is found under the ocean floor and made up of dense rocks, which are basalt. Oceanic crust is heavier than the continental crust. Okay, so just read in this specific part of the module for you to learn the difference between the two. Okay? Then after that, you need to accomplish this activity entitled Apply What You Have Learned. Okay? So, ang gagawin lang dito po, consider the given statement and tell whether the description is suited for continental or oceanic crust. So, lalagay nyo lang sa mga boxes na to and pipiling kayo either of the two, continental or oceanic crust. Alin yung made up of relatively younger rocks? Alin yung composed mainly of basalt? Alin yung composed of granitic rocks? Alin yung bumubuo ng karamihan sa continent natin? Alin yung relatively denser but thin layer? And alin yung thick in volume and is less dense? For the second part of that activity, you are to complete the Venn diagram below with appropriate descriptions about the divisions of the Earth's crust. So dito po sa Venn diagram na to, kailangan yung ilista yung mga descriptions ng continental crust. Dito naman sa left part, kailangan yung ilista yung descriptions sa oceanic crust. And of course, sa gitna, since this is an overlying space between the two, you need to write descriptions that are basically true between oceanic crust and continental crust. And at this point naman, we are actually patapos na. In this time, kailangan yung ilagay yung mga reflections na natutunan nyo in this part of the specific module po. Module number 1, differentiating continental crust from oceanic crust. Ano yung mga natutunan nyo? And you can also write the things that you want to learn or wish to ask. Okay? And then, as part of your reinforcement, okay, yung may mga access na po sa internet, you can watch a video about the Earth's crust through this link. Sundan lang po yung link na to. Okay? So, after visiting this link, you can make an illustration showing the two types of crust and everything found in it. Actually, without visiting the video, you can now distinguish the two, right? So I want you to just illustrate or sketch ano ba yung pagkakaiba ng two types of crust. It's part of your reinforcement. And then, okay, just to summarize, ito po yung mga terms na kailangan yung maintindihan. Okay, basalt, continental crust, denser, granite, oceanic crust. And these terms are found in your module po. They are repeatedly mentioned po. So, balikan lang po yung mga meaning nito para ma-retain or meron kayong retention in terms of this specific topic. You can also write them down if you have notebooks. Okay. And after that, you are to answer this post-test entitled Assess What You Have Learned po. So we have 5 questions here, and from those questions, you are to write the letter of the answer, of your answer po. And after which, you are going to check that. First, how many sublayers does the Earth's crust have? Ilan ba yung sublayers ng crust? 1 ba? 2, 3, or 4? Second, which crust is thinnest and denser? You are to choose from the 4 options. Third, which rock comprises the oceanic crust? Ano ba yung bumubuo sa oceanic crust? Fourth, which of the following best describe continental crust? Okay, alin sa mga statement na to ang totoo with regards to continental crust? And fifth, which rock comprises the continental crust? So again, you are to choose from the 4 options. So, I'll give you a few minutes or seconds to answer this one. I know some of you already answered this or is finished in answering this module. So after which, we're going to check your post-test. So, we only have 5 items here. So I guess you're done. Let us now proceed to the checking part. Checking your post-test. So for the first question, how many sublayers does the Earth's crust have? We have 2. Okay? And that's the point of this module. We have 2. That's the oceanic crust and continental crust. Which crust is thinnest and denser? Thinnest, of course, letter D. That's the oceanic crust. When we say denser, that basically go deeper, okay, or sink. For the third, which rock comprises the oceanic crust? Okay, that's A, letter B, basalt or basaltic rocks. For the fourth, Which of the following best describes continental crust? Letter A. It is made of a granite rocks or granitic rocks. And number 5, rock comprises the continental crust? Of course, letter C. Granite rocks or granitic rocks. So that's it. I hope you learned something from today's discussion with the discussion in the first module for quarter 1, week 1. Thank you for listening. If you have questions, you may type it down in the comment section. You may also comment your name and the grade level and section. Thank you for watching. Again, this is Sir Jess, your science teacher. Have a nice day. Thank you.